So there's an article that I read, and they are pretending to be concerned that little Archie and Lilibet will not have any future roles within the royal family. And this is what I thought when I first read that article. I thought, why the fake concern? And I feel that the headline tells you exactly what the piece is designed to do. Because Archie and Lilibet's royal future, according to them, is at risk, that their formal roles within the monarchy may never materialise, that they are missing out on bonding with their cousins, and they are estranged from royal traditions. And when they grow up, they will probably start asking their parents why. Now, I always, like I said, I always deep dive into these things, and I want to start with the factual premise of the entire problem. So let's look at facts. Archie is 6, Lilibet is 4. They are not waiting for formal roles in the British monarchy. In fact, nobody is except the other brother and the other girl, because the other brother and other girl, they keep briefing every market day, how they can't wait for him to be king. They can't wait for him to be king. But the question of whether a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old child that lives in America, whether one day they will have a formal position within the House of Windsor, is not a question that requires any urgent journalistic attention in 2026. They are still very young. Also, I don't think it's a question that affects Archie and Lilibet's daily lives. It doesn't affect their happiness. It doesn't affect their development. And it doesn't affect their relationship with their parents or any sense of identity that they have right now in any meaningful way. So the article presents itself as concern for the children, but I don't think it is. It's a pressure mechanism that they are trying to put on Harry and Meghan. So the logic is that, yes, Harry hasn't reconciled with his brother, therefore Archie and Lilibet will not have formal roles. But there is historical, precedence for why this is even a non-issue.
Let me be absolutely clear about something from the start. When Archie and Lilibet grow up, they're not going to spend their time wondering why they don't have fancy titles or formal positions within the royal institution. No, that's not what keeps children up at night. What they will do, what they absolutely will do, is look back on their childhood with profound gratitude that their parents made the courageous decision to remove them from what can only be described as a deeply toxic environment. The prevailing narrative surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from royal life suggests that their children, Archie and Lilibet, are somehow suffering from the absence of royal titles and formal positions within the monarchy. This narrative, however, is fundamentally flawed. It represents not genuine concern for the children's well-being, but rather a calculated pressure tactic designed to manipulate Harry and Meghan back into a toxic institution through emotional coercion disguised as worry. The argument being pushed by royal commentators and certain media outlets claims that Archie and Lilibet are being deprived of something essential: royal connections, formal roles, access to cousins, and traditional royal experiences. Headlines breathlessly ask, what about Archie and Lilibet's future, and the royal children left behind, manufacturing concern to suggest that Harry and Meghan have somehow failed their children by stepping away from the monarchy. But this is institutional pressure dressed in the language of care, a negotiating position that essentially says, reconcile with the family, accept our terms, fall in line, or your children will pay the price. This logic crumbles the moment you examine the actual historical record. The claim that Archie and Lilibet need formal royal roles to be fulfilled and successful is entirely unsupported by royal history. Across every generation of the British monarchy, the children of non-heirs simply do not have formal roles within the institution unless they specifically choose to take titles as adults. This isn't unusual or damaging. It's literally how the institution has always functioned. Consider Princess Margaret, sister to Queen Elizabeth II. She had 2 children, Viscount Linley and Lady Sarah Armstrong-Jones. Neither held any formal roles within the monarchy whatsoever. Yet both lived perfectly happy, successful and fulfilled lives. Viscount Linley became an exceptionally talented furniture maker and designer, earning genuine respect in his field. His sister built a successful career and family of her own. They were never portrayed as victims of their mother's choices or their uncle's decisions. They simply lived good lives outside the rigid constraints of the royal institution. The York sisters, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, provide another clear example. For years before recent scandals, neither held formal working royal roles. They attended events and did some charity work, but they also had independent careers and normal lives. The absence of formal roles wasn't treated as a catastrophe or evidence of parental failure. Princess Anne's children, Zara Tindall and Peter Phillips, actively chose not to take royal titles and are universally recognised as happy, functional adults with successful careers and families. This pattern is absolutely clear, consistent and undeniable. Formal royal roles are simply not essential to the well-being or success of royal children. The entire argument that Archie and Lilibet are missing out on something crucial falls apart under historical scrutiny. When you examine what Archie and Lilibet genuinely have, the picture becomes dramatically different from the manufactured narrative of deprivation. At 6 and 4 years old, respectively, what actually matters is whether these children are happy, developing healthily, feeling loved and supported by their parents, and building a solid foundation for their futures. On all these counts, the evidence suggests they are thriving. First and foremost, Archie and Lilibet have 2 parents who are completely, uncompromisingly present and engaged in building something genuinely meaningful and authentic. They are not being raised primarily by nannies and staff in palace corridors. They are being raised by their mother and father, who show up for them every single day. This fundamental reality matters infinitely more than any title ever could. Beyond their immediate family, the children have access to an incredible community in California, a genuine, authentic network of relationships built on authentic connection rather than institutional proximity. They're embedded in the Invictus Games community, connected to vast networks of veterans and their families bound together by genuine shared values and purpose rather than accident of birth. They have a mother who doesn't merely speak about women's empowerment and family values, but genuinely lives them, sending handwritten notes to families, building wellness retreats that sell out within minutes, and creating a lifestyle brand that accomplished in under a year what many people struggle to achieve in a decade. They have a father who is actively winning legal battles against those who sought to exploit and abuse his family, who keynoted at the world's largest privacy summit, and who is using his platform and resources to fight for the rights of everyday people being crushed by a predatory media machine. They have a loving grandmother in Doria, their mother's mother, who is present and involved in their lives. They have mentors, guides and role models who are building real things in the world, not maintaining historical institutions, but actually creating change and impact. These are the relationships that build character, resilience and genuine happiness. The question that critics conveniently ignore is this: why would any caring parent want their children to be part of the current state of the royal family? The Windsor household has been, to put it mildly, an absolute disaster. Multiple scandals, internal conflicts, and public embarrassment after public embarrassment have characterized recent years. The institution that some commentators desperately insist is worth defending and preserving has become, frankly, a cautionary tale. The reality is that nearly half the British population wants the monarchy abolished entirely. There's a substantial segment of the population that feels strongly about this. Then there's a whole middle ground of people who are indifferent, who don't really care one way or another. And then there are commentators like those who defend the royal family, desperately holding on to a fantasy, an illusion that the monarchy is something worth being part of. But Archie and Lilibet don't need that illusion. They're thriving in California, being raised in a healthy, loving environment, building real skills, real relationships, and real lives that aren't dependent on outdated institutional structures. When articles try to drag Archie and Lilibet back into the royal fold through guilt and manufactured concern, it represents a deeply underhanded and manipulative tactic. The honest question isn't whether these children will regret missing out on formal roles in a family that has shown its true colours. The honest question is whether they will be eternally grateful that their parents loved them enough to walk away. Here's what will truly matter when Archie and Lilibet grow up. They will become adults with their own critical thinking skills, their own ability to research, and their own capacity to understand what actually happened to their mother and father. When that day comes, and it will come, they're going to sit down and read. They'll read the headlines written about their mother before they were even born. They'll encounter the toxic coverage that followed her every move, every outfit choice, every charitable endeavour twisted into something sinister. They'll discover the court judgments, the legal battles their father fought against a media machine determined to destroy him. They'll watch real footage of their mother being interviewed, attacked and scrutinised in ways that would make most people crumble. They'll read about operations like Cash for Leaks, about systematic undermining, institutional coercion and constant pressure campaigns designed to break two people who simply wanted to live with dignity and raise their children in peace. When they read all of this, when they truly understand the magnitude of what their parents endured, the relentless nature of the harassment, the way institutions and media colluded to make their mother's life a nightmare, they won't wonder why their parents left. They won't ask their mother and father why they chose California over the crown. Instead, they're going to marvel. They're going to be absolutely astounded that their parents had the strength, the clarity, and the unwavering commitment to their well-being to say no. They'll understand that every single decision Harry and Meghan made was about protecting them, about choosing their mental health and peace over titles, tradition, and the false promise of belonging to an institution that had already shown its true colours. They will comprehend the weight of that decision, the courage it took, and the love it required. They will see their mother's accomplishments in California, the genuine community she's built, the real work she's doing, the authentic relationships she's nurturing. And they will understand that leaving wasn't running away. It was running towards something better. It was choosing health. It was choosing love. It was choosing them. When Archie and Lilibet grow up, they won't spend their time wondering why they don't have fancy titles or formal positions within the royal institution. What they absolutely will do is look back on their childhood with profound gratitude that their parents made the courageous decision to remove them from a deeply toxic environment. They will understand that protecting them, Protecting their mother, protecting their family's well-being was infinitely more important than maintaining some outdated royal connection. That's the narrative that will actually matter. That's the story their lives will tell. That's a far more beautiful legacy than any title could ever provide. The greatest gift Harry and Meghan have given their children isn't access to royal traditions or formal positions. It's the gift of a healthy, loving family built on authentic connection, genuine care, and unwavering protection. When Archie and Lilibet understand the full scope of what was done to their mother and father, and the strength it took to walk away, they will be eternally grateful. That gratitude, that understanding, that love, that is the real inheritance that matters.